Hey y'all, and welcome back to Legends and Loggers. I'm your host, Parker Wohlstein, and I'm a forester and wildlife biologist. I'm joined by my co-host and brother.
Hey there, I'm Zac Wohlstein, and I'm an outdoor television producer.
Today we're going to be delving into a legend that comes from the Philippines, the Aswang. As we're getting closer to Halloween, we're trying to get a little bit scarier with our legends, and the Aswang definitely fits the bill for having some pretty freaky characteristics and encounters. And it isn't necessarily what I thought it would be. I thought the Aswang would be like one individual creature for one, but I also thought that there could only be like one type of Aswang, and I was wrong about both. There can be multiple Aswang across the country or province at one time, and there's also multiple types that an Aswang can fit into. But before we really dive in for today, Zach, what you drinking?
Well, I'd like you to go first, actually.
All right. I've got London, Fuller's London Porter.
Wow.
Doesn't seem like it makes sense, but underneath the name it says rich, dark, and complex, much like our story that we're weaving today.
All right, that's pretty
yeah.
clever. Nice.
Man, I'm
right,
shocked we've been able to get this many beers semi on brand. You know?
Yeah. Let me tell you, I did a run this a couple days ago, and I got 3 that are just freaking like on the money. Yeah, today's not one of those days though. So, well, we'll talk more about it in the episode, but there is one animal that people say this creature is most like. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
What animal would you say that is?
There's like this lemur thing.
A lemur thing?
Yeah, there's a lemur thing, there's a bird, there's a dog, there's a cat.
Oh.
Yeah.
Whenever I looked it up, I saw pictures that had wings.
A bat?
The wings of a bat. I'm sorry. It's
it's fat bat again. It's always fat bat.
It's the fat bat again. I got 3 great ones for the next few, but I'm gonna level with you guys. It's expensive getting a different beer every time. And so I needed to hold off for this one and have another one of the another one from the Fatback 6-pack.
Yeah, we were hoping by episode 10 we might have like a couple people, like, you know, the whole like YouTube like buy me a coffee thing. You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought we'd be getting there, but apparently y'all are stingy.
Yeah.
With all this free
Please
content.
give us your money.
It's only beer money. It's not even like make a living off this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great. Or
that being said, I do have a wish list kind of cooking up, so.
Craft Shack order.
Yeah.
Craft Shack, sponsor us. At least give me free shipping. Come on.
If we could just get free shipping, it'd be worth it.
Yeah.
It really would.
Craft Shack. Good stuff on there. Horrendous shipping. Anyway,
yeah.
I guess I'll crack mine.
Please sponsor us, though.
Oh, for a second I thought I just broke this. That would have been impressive if I broke the cap. I bent it up pretty good.
Let me tell you, this bat, he is fat.
Oh, that's bitter. That put some hair on your chest, boy. Oh, my word. It's like...
You guys can't see it. It looks like I wet myself.
Oh, no. This is like a mix of beer, licorice, and coffee.
That sounds awful, Parker. I won't lie.
Somebody says stout. That's what they mean.
I think that's different, right? Because usually stout's just like a thicker beer, but that sounds like some sort of unholy concoction.
Well, most of the time stouts are like, they've kind of got that whole like coffee kind of bitter, more bitter kind of deal to them.
Yeah.
Here I am still drinking it though.
Nice. Well, it can't be that bad then. Shoot.
Yeah. Just that first sip, it's a little, gets you. All right. So there isn't necessarily a chronology involved with the Aswang. So if it's good with you, we'll just go over a general description of this abomination, and then we'll just go into a ton of spooky campfire stories.
Heck yeah, it's okay.
So the Aswang.
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween next week after we drop this.
Yeah, that's close enough.
The Aswang has a huge foothold within Filipino culture, and many folks, if they don't have their own encounter, they have a grandmother/grandfather or a relative that has had an encounter. Like Zach was saying, he just happened to mention one of his Filipino friends that
He immediately knew what it was and what I was talking about.
which is crazy. And I mean, there's story after story after story that I was finding online, so I kind of grabbed a good bag of the ones that I really liked, because a lot of them, their description isn't too bad, or like nothing really happens, but it's kind of Aswang related. But I think we got a good mix going on here.
Nice.
So the Aswang are supposedly walk among us and are generally indistinguishable from normal folks, except they're maybe a little bit more antisocial. It is only at nighttime when their true form is revealed. So there's generally believed to be 5 types of Aswang. There's the vampire, the viscera sucker, were-dog, witch, and ghoul.
Now, none of those are good, but like, Viscera Sucker, dude.
Viscera
that sounds...
sucker is the worst.
Yeah.
Viscera sucker is my least favorite.
So it's like, hey, so a vampire drinks blood. What do you do? I suck viscera.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, I mean, even like vampire or bloodsucker, it's like, whatever. Viscera
Blood, it's
sucker.
liquid. Yeah, viscera. That implies like meat and like your. Oh god. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. Well, we'll get more in depth here. So,
all right.
The vampire or the mandarugo is a beautiful woman that uses a long tongue rather than fangs to drink blood. The viscera sucker.
Oh well, before we move on, that particular type of vampire. I don't know if you've ever read the book The Strain.
Nope.
Like by Guillermo del Toro and Chuck Hogan. Well, it's like a vampire book. It's pretty cool. And like that's what the vampires do in that book. Like they have like these they call them stingers that are like right in the back of their throat, like next to their tongue, latch on and they suck onto people like that. Yeah,
gross.
Cool. The first book's great. The rest of them really fall off. Anyways,
then the viscera sucker or mananagal, as I'll be pronouncing it, is my least favorite type. It also has a super long tongue that it can control, but it feasts on internal organs, and in particular babies.
the internal organ of the infant.
Well, yeah, it goes for both. Like if a woman isn't pregnant, it'll just go for the organs, but that's like that's their preferred food.
Yeah, its favorite is the babies.
Yeah.
Jeez.
The manangal,
Mananagal.
The mananagal is attractive during the day, but at night it grows wings, tears itself in half at the waist, leaving its legs behind to fly around in search of victims to pierce and suck out their organs, with a focus on pregnant women.
What? It just leaves its back half? I was going to say, it reminds me of that one VHS like short film thing.
Yeah, it's just like
the girl turns into a vampire.
Separates itself from its legs after growing up and starts flying off.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's freaky. Then the were-dog is a shapeshifter Aswang that can take the form of a dog, pig, or cat, bird, basically any animal. But often it's an extremely large black dog, which typically goes after pregnant women again. But
God dang, dude.
Most of the time with these ones, it's pregnant women that find themselves out late at night going down the road. And then witches are hated in Filipino culture anyway, but supposedly witches that already have the qualities of an Aswang can gain additional strength and power by becoming one. With their curses gaining strength, and they have, once they decide to become an Aswang, they have eyes that reflect images upside down, and elongated irises. So you can tell by the eyes. And then lastly is the ghoul, which are humanoids but try and hide themselves. They eat human corpses and possess sharp, long nails to help them exhume bodies, with sharp teeth to help them consume said bodies. They hide in trees around cemeteries to dig up and eat fresh burials, and because of this, they absolutely smell putrid and horrific. And then this is going to come up in multiple versions of the Aswang and stories we're going to get into today. But a lot of the Aswang stories are associated with a bird They call it like the tick tick bird or the wak wak bird. But anyway, it has calls that sound like tick tick, ick ick, or wak wak. Sometimes people just hear the sound, and sometimes it comes from a very large black bird that helps the Aswang to hunt its victims.
Mm.
And then, just before we really dive in, I have a link there that I want you to check out.
Is this what the bird sounds like?
Sure.
Is this our boy?
Burger King foot lettuce.
Oh my god.
Burger King foot lettuce had a video about the Aswang.
Wait, what's his actual name? I haven't.
I have no clue.
I used to watch all of this guy's videos, dude. He used to do all these top tens.
Yeah. The last thing you want in your pregnant wife is some Aswang's tongue. But that might be exactly what you got.
The top comment was not the Burger King foot lettuce guy.
Anyway, that's a freaky video, but it was mainly for the Burger King foot lettuce guy.
Yeah, the Burger King foot lettuce guy. His channel or his name or like whatever he goes by is Chills, and he's actually one of the guys that got me into like this whole spooky stuff and whatnot. 'Cause he used to make all these top 10 videos.
Huh.
Yeah, like where it'd be like random spooky topic and with his unique, if you will, narration and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Anyway,
that guy.
that's a supposed Manangan. Mananagal. Jeez.
Oh
that's such a
yeah,
hard word.
McGonagall from Harry Potter. Yeah, I'm familiar.
Isn't that like Dagonigal? I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
So the first story we're going to get into is the vampire variant of Aswang, and the story is called "The Girl with Many Loves." So this story is an old Tagalog folktale about an alleged Mandarugo. As the story goes, there was once a young woman described as the most beautiful to live on the land. She married at the age of 16. Her husband, a husky youth, withered away in less than a year. After his death, she married again, with the same result. She married a third time and then a fourth. The fourth husband, having been warned, feigned sleep one night holding a knife in his hand. Soon after midnight, he felt a presence over him and felt a prick on his neck. He stuck the knife into the creature on top of him, and he heard a screech and the flapping of wings. The next day, his bride was found dead some distance away from the house with a knife wound in her chest. And then I got a picture there for you.
Oh, there's a picture there? But okay, my first thought on that story was she needs to stop marrying people. Oh my god. People are dropping left and right. And then my second thought was, well, like after finding out it was her, choose somebody you're not married to. Like that's how you get caught right there.
No, but that's an easy feed, you know, instead of going out and trying to find somebody.
Yeah, it's easy, but like, I don't know. That seems like an awful lot of work because I assume you don't love this person, you know?
Yeah.
And you're forcing yourself to spend like every waking hour with them pretty much, and then
that's a good
slowly
point.
feed on them. Yeah, just go find some rando. Download Tinder.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think when that story was written...
Oh, yeah, that's a crazy picture, though.
Yeah, isn't that freaky?
Yeah.
Maybe our wives are doing that to us at night. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
My neck...
Doing it to our wallet, am I right?
True. All right, so this is the first of our user stories, and it comes from Stacy K. In 2019.
You know, her mom's got it going on.
True. Well, in this case, her grandma. So Stacy says, when my grandma was young, she was not as religious as she used to be before she died in 2002. They lived in a house near the National Railroad. My grandparents were not rich, but my grandfather was a well-known artist/painter in our hometown, and people usually asked him for a lot of artwork. My grandfather, however, was too kind-hearted to charge people with his work, especially when it was commissioned by his friends. So when he died, he left little money for his family. Now, my grandmother was loved by my grandfather very much. They got married at the age of 14 and 16 to save my grandmother from being taken away by the Japanese Imperial Army during the Japanese occupation of the Philippines.
I was going to say, what's with all these people getting married at freaking like 15, 16?
Dude, that's what humanity did up until like 1940.
But this lady, she died in 2002. So like,
You don't think people that were getting married in the 40s
I
could
guess
be
not.
alive in 2002? Our grandparents got married in the 40s and were
Yeah.
alive in 2002.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, she was so spoiled and treated too indulgently, so when he died, my grandmother became depressed. She started playing Mahjong, a Chinese tile-based game, with her friends and will stay up late into the wee hours in the morning. According to my mother, as the eldest among 7 children, she took the responsibility of looking after her siblings. She would stay up late waiting for my grandma. My grandmother's gambling habit went from bad to worse until one scary evening when she had the most frightful experience. When she was away from her home at 3 a.m. from a friend's house, my grandmother saw a huge black dog a few feet away from her. The dog was so huge, it was like 5 foot tall, and it was just standing in the middle of the road staring at her. My grandmother was startled as it was so unusual to see a dog that big. What scared her now was how the dog was acting so strange. It was doing nothing and just staring at her. And she could also hear a growl like as if the dog was ready to
That's
pounce at
creepy,
her.
dude.
She just started to walk fast and her heart almost dropped when she had to walk past the dog, which was still staring at her. She kept walking and was too scared to look back. When she turned on the next corner, she continued walking until she saw something weird from a distance. There was this huge gray bird perched at the edge of a banana tree a few feet away. My grandmother stared intently at the large, powerfully built bird as she continued to walk forward. Its eyes were bright red, and it was also staring back at her. The hair on the back of her neck started to raise when she realized the bird was perched at the edge of a banana stalk, which was physically impossible. My grandmother realized that what she was looking at was not an ordinary bird, but an Aswang or shapeshifter. The bird was too heavy for the banana stalk to sustain its weight, but it just stood there without the stalk breaking. The bird made a sudden, scary screeching sound that made my grandmother jump and run. When she was just a few feet away from the banana tree, she heard a sudden flapping of heavy wings from behind, and she knew right then that the bird was flying towards her.
Wow.
In an instant, she stooped down to avoid the bird as it flew over her head, its talons grasping her hair. According to my mom, flying Aswangs normally grab their victims on the legs. Then they lift them up in the air and throw them on the ground to incapacitate their victims.
Jeez.
That is the time that they devour their victims once they have been disabled. My grandmother started shouting for help and she ran as fast as she could. She knew that there was no way that she could outrun the Aswang, so she went inside a huge cement pipe at the side of the street as there was a government construction project being done in that area. My grandmother hid there crying and praying for her life. She could still hear the flapping of wings outside circling the area. Fortunately for her, the neighbors heard her cry for help. Houses started to switch on their lights, and a few people went out to check out what was going on outside. The Aswang left, and my grandmother crawled out of the cement pipe. From that day on, my grandmother stopped gambling and never has stayed out late much outside.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
She became a devout Christian up until the day she left us.
Wow.
Yeah,
So is
that's your
the
were
same
dog.
Aswang?
Probably, given that they're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
But like, isn't that such weird behavior if that was a normal dog? Just to
Yeah.
like normally
That'd be
they'll
creepy,
they'll
dude.
kind of like go forward a little bit. Like if they're being standoffish, they'll go a little bit forward and a little bit backward.
Or
kinda like
most
sniff
dogs,
you
like,
out.
they're kind of like like they're moving around a little bit, like even if it's just like a like they have like some sort of movement to them. They're not just standing there staring.
Yeah, that one just stand its ground, didn't do anything, didn't move, was just growling, and then next thing she knows, this thing's swooping down at her head. Something that could perch itself on something that it shouldn't have been able to perch on. All right, so this story is a little bit different than most of ours because it comes from a boy that saw the Aswang, and I've shortened it a bit to get rid of some unnecessary context. Basically, so you're not missing out on anything, this kid was around 9 years old, was playing with his sisters when he had to go to the bathroom. He says, "The bathroom is just a few steps away and right in front of us. I jumped to my feet and dashed to the toilet. When I opened the door, I was greeted by a chilly wind, which made me nervous. It felt like someone was staring at me with hostility the moment I walked into the bathroom. I hesitated before closing the door, but I need to because I didn't want my sisters to see me peeing.
Naturally.
I shut the door slightly and another cold blast of air hit me. I was really jittery. But I don't mind this sensation because it's possible I'm hallucinating or overreacting to something. I try to persuade myself that I should start peeing right away. After a brief pause, I was halfway through my pee when I heard a peculiar voice coming from behind me. Roar! It says.
Well, that is a peculiar voice.
Yeah. My hair stood on end all over my body, and my pee stopped. I froze which is a difficult task.
Yeah, my ween burned.
Yeah. I froze for a split second before another cold wind struck me, followed by another odd voice on my back. Roar again. Hearing that gave me a shiver, and I sensed a killing intent aura was around me. I was trembling in fear. And then I recalled my grandmother's tale about Aswang, which are vampires that can turn into animals such as pigs, chickens, dogs, and other animals instead of bats. This Aswang is, without a doubt, what is on my back. My condition is hopeless because I could not scream, because something was preventing me from doing so. Then I felt that peculiar sound again for a third time on my back. Something compelled me to look at it, to summon the strength to see what was on my back. Slowly, I shifted my gaze to the source of the noise. There, I realized we have an open ventilation window to our bathroom. I saw a well-dressed white woman clutching on our bamboo tree, leaning against the hole in the bathroom, her other arm attempting to reach out to me from where I was standing. Her lips were bright red, and she had white skin, unkempt hair, and a terrifying appearance. After that horrifying moment, a sudden thought came to my mind, what I remembered of my grandmother's advice. Grandmother said, "Do not be alarmed if you come across an Aswang. Try looking them in the eyes to see if you can get them to blink first when your eyes meet. That is their weakness. If you can do so, the Aswang will run out of energy and you'll be able to defeat them with whatever you have. However, if you blink before they do, your only option is to run." Despite the fact that I'm terrified and I don't know if I still have the strength to stand, I took the courage to keep my eyes fixed on her vampiric appearance. I have faith in my grandmother and hope this works out. My heart was pounding furiously while doing that. My world stopped for a moment, and I felt as though it only began to move again after I blinked my eyes before she did. After that terrifying moment, I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Aswang! Aswang! Father, help me!" and exited the bathroom. I was already in the room with my aunts, hugging them and trembling in fear in a fraction of a second. I just kept shutting my eyes because I didn't want to see something, but then I sensed my father's presence behind me, calmly asking, "What is it?" I was in a panic at the time, so I simply said, "Aswang, Aswang, Aswang, it's in the bathroom." My father dashed to the bathroom and tried to search for it. He didn't see anything, and there was no one outside. My father returned to me and asked, "Where did you see it? Is it possible you're having a hallucination?" I didn't have the energy to respond to him because I fell unconscious. My mom was already home when I woke up and I finally regained consciousness. She sat next to me and informed me that I had a high fever and my nose was bleeding. My mother, who was exhausted from work, was taking excellent care of me. My parents ignored what happened, claiming I was hallucinating, but I knew what I saw was true, and I couldn't prove it to them. The Aswang keeps appearing in my dreams every night since January 3rd. It was relentless in its pursuit of me. After a month it ended and I was able to get some rest. But after a year, on the same day, January 3rd, I dreamed about the Aswang's vampiric appearance once more. The next night, it didn't appear in my dream. But this is weird because every third day of January for the past 3 years, she has appeared in my dreams.
Wow.
That's
how old is this guy? 9 years old. Okay.
9. Man, that's something for a 9-year-old to see.
Yeah, for real.
That would be. I mean,
in your house and whatnot. It wasn't because that's a particularly scary thing about this one to me is that, like, the grandma was out in the middle of hitting the town late at night or something like that, whereas like this guy, He's just freaking at home. He's just rocking a pee, you know?
Yeah, he's just going pee, and this thing is trying to reach inside and get him.
Yeah.
Oh man, and you just see this like woman that looks kind of nice, but like her hair's all unkempt, and he added in like some pictures where people have done other pictures of Aswangs, and that one he was like, "This is most like the one that I saw," and like the lips are bright red. It's pretty freaky looking.
Wow.
Yeah, not something you'd want to see there while
Yeah.
you're just taking a pee, you know.
What's up with the being able to like overpower it by it blinking first, like a staring contest?
I have no clue. That doesn't come up anywhere else.
Okay.
Everywhere else says like salt,
You're done
garlic, and machetes.
for machetes.
Yeah, most
Can't go
people
wrong,
they
yeah.
just try and hack it to death, pretty much. Yeah, like
Huh.
if it's still around, or they'll shoot it. There's a lot of uncles that'll just like go outside with rifles and start shooting at the tick birds.
Yeah, that is like such a scary thought because we've talked about it before, like the like seeing something in the window thing,
Yeah,
but like seeing something in the window like reaching out at you. Oh god.
just this like weird ghost vampire woman.
Yeah, that's freaky.
Yeah, that would mess you up for life if you're only
Yeah.
9. And
That
I,
messed me up, dude. If I'm 25, shit.
and I mean, like, there's not much you can confuse with a woman on the bamboo outside the window
Yeah, right.
reaching
Yeah.
out at you.
Oh, it turns out it was just a bird.
Yeah, like
No,
that's
doesn't-
no Mothman. Oh, it was just an owl thing. It's like no,
Yeah.
she was 2 foot away from me. I
Yep.
saw a
We- we-
woman.
We should make a T-shirt that's like all cryptids are owls.
Yeah, that's basically most of the explanations. Well,
Yeah.
most of the proposed ones, like all the lazy people, are like, oh, it's an owl. Miss ID of an owl. Okay, owl doesn't have stark red eyes and horse head, but all right.
Or a body.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, it has a body, but like not like a Mothman type body with legs and all that jazz.
yeah. So this next one might be my favorite. It's a story that comes from this guy's grandfather, and he would tell this story every once in a while. The story is called The Mananagal of Camiguin Island. My father was a fisherman in a small province of Camiguin Island located at Mindanao, Philippines. That was when the population was so small that the nearest neighbor was half a kilometer away. If you all know, the Philippines has many festivals celebrated almost every day in different parts of the country. That day, the neighboring town was celebrating a fiesta, and they held cockfights where 2 roosters armed with small sharp blades attached battled to the death in an arena, while all of the people placed their bets on one of the roosters. It is considered one of the favorite pastime activities of the Filipinos, and my grandfather was one fanatic of the game. Back then, there were only asphalt roads that led to each city and municipality in the province, and it was mostly built on the seaside. The people who don't own a horse and carriage often pass through the forest mountain where the route is shorter than using the roads. My grandfather knew all the paths that lead to every town in the province. It was his playground when he was still a child. It was already getting dark, and he decided to go on his way home. He used a torch made from coconut leaves and entered the forest. The forest canopy made it darker since the light from the setting sun was blocked by the towering trees. Around the middle of his journey, he heard something. It seemed like someone was walking on the fallen leaves. He could hear each step, slowly pacing like an old person. He tried to locate where the sound was coming from until he reached an unfamiliar part of the forest. Using his torch, he tried to illuminate the surrounding area and saw a silhouette of a hut. He called out for anyone who lived there, but no one answered. He went closer to look if someone was actually living there, but found no one, so he entered. He knew it was inhabited when he saw embers still glowing from the kitchen fire pit. Then he heard the thrashing of leaves outside, now closer and coming from the back of the hut. He went outside to see who was walking, but didn't find anything. He waved his torch up to brighten the area. At the edge of the light illuminated by the torch was a pair of bare legs and feet. Its thighs were round and the skin was so smooth it glowed as the light shone on it. He greeted good night, but the woman did not respond, so he went closer. As he approached, he noticed that the woman was naked all the way down. He stepped closer to see the woman's face and was shocked at what he saw. There was no upper body, yet it was moving and standing right up. He could see all the exposed organs and the still beating veins, even without a heart to pump blood.
Oh, that's terrifying.
The
dude.
end.
Oh, that is
The
creepy as all
end.
get out. Man, can you imagine that?
Oh, man. Yeah, that was probably my favorite story. I was reading that, and I was like, all right, this guy's grandpa. Oh, spooky forest. Oh, he
Jeez.
sees a pair of legs. There's nothing attached to the legs.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Like, all the organs are just out and about there,
Yeah.
but it's standing straight up. Ugh. Freaky deaky, man. So next up, I've got 3 little quick hitters. There's a lot of there's a website, I think it's called like Your Ghost Stories, has a ton of Aswang stories.
Nice.
And most of those stories are basically along the lines of these quick hitters.
Okay.
This comes from Low-Key Fujoshi on a Philippines subreddit thread. It was like r/Philippines or something like that. Somebody posted asking if anybody has any Aswang encounters. And then Low-Key Fujoshi posted these. So number 1, he says, when my aunt newly gave birth to her eldest son back in 1971, she heard a loud thud on the roof during midnight. Then after a couple minutes later, she saw a long, yarn-like slimy thing hovering over her baby coming out of a hole in the ceiling. She started slapping the thing away, but it just moves unnaturally. Then my other aunt woke up and saw what was happening. She immediately grabbed a pair of scissors and cut the thing. My aunt has never slept without scissors beside her after that. I forgot to mention that prehensile tongue thing. Like, they find a crack in the roof. Like, they perch on top of the roof. So, like, a lot of people hear footsteps on the roof. And it'll go, like, directly above the pregnant lady. And then this tongue just slithers down.
Ooh,
and then,
that's
like,
creepy.
in and starts sucking out the baby or the organs or whatever.
Jeez.
So she woke up and was like, ah, and then the other aunt just like came over and snipped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a couple like that where they snip her. The uncle will go outside and like try and shoot it while it's on the roof. Crazy.
Yeah, it is.
And then Low-Key also says, back in the 80s in Bataan, my eldest cousin saw a wild boar on their property, which is very forest-like back then, and tried to hunt it. When closing in on it from a couple meters, he saw the boar suddenly turn into a man. He just turned around and left right after.
Okay.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
I like the idea. He's like, oh, there's the pig. He's like, turns around.
Yeah, he probably had this thing in his sights, watched it just crack up and become a guy, and was like, all right, going home.
I'm heading out.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to the Philippines bar.
Yeah.
Ye old local watering hole.
Yeah.
I'm not being around this.
He's like, oh, I'm an alcoholic now.
Yeah. Dude, that would mess you up for life if you saw something like that.
Yeah, it would.
If I was going for a pig and the dude, like the pig just, I mean, I know a pig. I see him almost every day. I've stalked him, at least a couple times every week. I know a pig. If I'm looking at this pig and it becomes a guy, I'm checking myself.
Questioning everything.
Yeah, I'm checking myself into a hospital. Like, I'm taking some time off. Something has gone severely wrong.
Yeah, for real.
And then lastly, Low-Key Fujoshi says, when my mom was pregnant with me in '89, she had a habit of sewing way past midnight. On one of those nights, my dad's cousin and his wife suddenly dropped in, checking in on her. Apparently, they saw a huge, monstrous blackbird flying and circling our house. They just wanted to warn my mom, who turns out had been hearing a tick tick on the tree in the front yard. She always had a good big hunk of garlic on her person for the rest of her pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like I said, garlic and salt. You're supposed to salt your windows and put garlic around them.
Garlic your babies.
All that. Yeah. Actually, one of the accounts from your ghost stories, the grandma did it when she was pregnant, and then this other lady did it. They put a pillow beneath their legs because that masked the baby scent, supposedly. Because the babies apparently smell really sweet to the Aswang, and they're like, oh yeah. So if you sleep with a pillow between your legs, it masks it. And then also the garlic and stuff. So finally, before getting to some explanations and stuff, I've got a crazy aspect of the whole modern Aswang lore. So basically, there was a rebellion called the Hukbalap Rebellion in the Philippines starting in 1942 and continuing on past the Japanese occupation. Air Force Brigadier General Edward G. Lansdale served as the CIA's chief operative in the Philippines in the 1950s, and this guy was a huge fan of psychological operations, aka PSYOPs. So, what Lansdale did in the Philippines was create Aswang armies, where he slaughtered villages and took Huk rebels and blamed it on the Aswang. Lansdale said about this, a combat Psy War squad was brought in. It planted stories among the town residents of an Aswang living on the hill where the Huks were based. Two nights later, after giving the stories time to make their way up to the hill camp, the Psy War squad set up an ambush along the trail used by the Huks. When a Huk patrol came along the trail, ambushers silently snatched the last man of the patrol, their move unseen in the dark night. They punctured his neck with 2 holes, vampire fashion, held the body up by the heels, drained it of blood, then put the corpse back on the trail. When the Huks returned to look for the missing man and found their bloodless comrade, every member of the patrol believed that the Aswang had got him, and that one of them would be next if they remained on that hill. When daylight came, the whole Huk squadron moved out of the vicinity.
Wow. That's pretty clever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Really messed up.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But like pretty crazy.
Like full-on monstrous stuff that they're doing, but like, that's pretty clever, though.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying in reports about it that it wasn't like the sole reason that they were able to get rid of the rebellion, but like it contributed.
Contributing factor for sure.
It contributed quite a bit. I mean, it worked.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. CIA, they're always doing weird stuff to people, including just literally making up, not even just planting stories of Aswang. You know, it's one thing to be like, oh, there's an Aswang on this hill. Go tell your friends.
Having them killing people and like trying to make it look like it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
See, now, between like that stuff and like the American Ultra stuff and the what was the other one?
You got to be more specific.
Like,
they do a lot.
Like the syphilis stuff that they're doing.
Oh, Tuskegee experiment.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's like real stuff the CIA did. It makes you wonder, what are they doing now? You know?
Oh, I wonder that all the time. I'm like, what experiment are we in right now?
What are they up to? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you think they just stopped? No.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Like, all right, guys. Sorry for effing with you.
Yeah, like, man, we were bad and crazy back in the day. And everyone's like, yeah, you guys were. And it's like, just looking at each other.
Like, they bought it.
It's like, back in the day, right? What's that?
You know, we're cool now.
What's the Anakin and Padme meme?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you're not doing PSYOP still, right? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're for sure doing stuff to us all the time.
Yeah. So CIA, if you want to write in and let us know what you're up to, our email is legends@wohlstein.media. You can find it in the description.
Yeah. I wonder if Men in Black are tied with the CIA. Probably.
Yeah. Men in Black, please leave me alone. You're very scary.
Didn't I threaten them one time?
Yeah. I cut it out.
That was dumb. Oh, wow.
I'm not
They still
messing
have
with
access
you,
to it. Come on.
God
Come on.
dang it. Yeah, next episode we're both gone.
Maybe. So let's get into some possible explanations for the whole Aswang thing.
All right.
So in the town, I guess the city of Capiz, which is a pretty big town in the Philippines. I don't think it's the capital. I don't think so. I can't remember. But they call it the home of the Aswang because there's so many reports around there.
Okay.
Well, that town also has something weird going on. So it has an extremely large number of cases of this extremely rare genetic condition called XDP, or X-linked dystonia Parkinsonism. And this form of Parkinsonism goes back over 1,000 years on Panay Island. Yeah, this condition causes uncontrollable muscle movements and spasms, which are sometimes in line with Aswang descriptions. The only thing here is...
They still have their upper torso?
Yeah, yeah, they sure do.
It causes certain conditions, much like losing the upper half of your body.
Yeah, like tearing yourself apart and then flying off into the night.
It causes you to turn into a pig.
Yeah, it causes you to shapeshift and have an extremely long prehensile tongue.
It's very rare, very rare.
That you suck viscera from whence. So yeah, there's that. And then also, this disease, like 9 out of 10 times, affects men. And doesn't really go after women.
But like really hot, effeminate men, right?
Maybe. Based off because all the Aswang descriptions, I think all of them tend to be women for like.
Yeah, and all the ones we covered today, only one of them was a male.
Yeah, but yeah, most of the time in most of the lore, the Aswang is a female, and this condition mainly attacks men. It'll sometimes be found in women, but like it's pretty rare.
Okay, so I'm not buying this one.
Why is that?
It just makes them like shake when they walk or something, like that doesn't seem very.
If you look it up, it's really freaky.
Oh, I don't want to look it up.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
I'm not gonna show the viewers. So I'm gonna pull a Werner Herzog and be like, you must destroy this. Oh, okay, yeah, here it is. So there's like stripes behind him. His arms keep going up and then going back down. His head's kind of going all over the place.
Yeah.
Looks like he's having like a full-on seizure.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is skinny, but also rather muscular.
Yeah, kind of a weird shape. But yeah, freaky condition. But as far as explaining Aswang, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then another explanation.
# not my Wong.
Yeah, not my Wang. So another explanation is that it's basically just folklore that basically puts a blame on kind of weird or unexplained events, such as like, people just straight up murdering other people, miscarriage, infant sudden death syndrome, stuff like that. Just kind of like tying in folklore to be
a catch-all.
Yeah, because for a long time they didn't have an explanation on why women would just randomly miscarry in the night. So I guess if you have folklore that has these freaky demon people, then it's sucking out your baby and eating it is a good enough explanation.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. Now, whenever you first told me about this journal, actually, I guess like you mentioned the name. Brian told me about the actual topic, but like whenever I first heard about it, that was my immediate thought as well. It's like there's this kind of like a cover up, if you will. They're not cover up, but like a easier to swallow explanation than like for like miscarriages and whatnot. Because like if you take a look at the miscarriage, I'm sure that I don't know. I've never been in a situation even remotely similar, but I assume in a miscarriage they probably have some sort of feeling like is there something wrong with me that caused this baby to miscarry? True. And to not put that blame on themselves
or their family, not to put on
exactly. Yeah. it gives them a scapegoat, something to be angry at, something horrifying to deal with this tragedy. You know.
Yeah, I could
So
definitely
that
see
was
that.
yeah, that was my immediate thought. Now I didn't hear about the rest of it, the whole shape shifting stuff and the
Yeah, tearing
uh,
itself apart.
popping itself in half. Like that's doesn't really explain that part. But
Yeah, if
for
those
just the pregnant part or like the miscarriaging, I miscarrying, I understand that part.
yeah, and then there's some where it's just like misidea of wildlife. Of course, there used to be this type of lemur that people would blame it on because it would make weird noises, or there's various birds in the Philippines that people kind of ascribe that tick tick sound to.
Okay.
But kind of your classic misidea of wildlife thing. It's not like bunyip where it's like, oh, wow, they really were just misideaing wildlife. It's like, okay,
Wow,
no,
that's for sure a seal.
yeah, people are seeing something on their roofs, and like, a bird or even a lemur isn't going to make like definitive footsteps sounds on your roof, and definitely not going to make a tongue that
Tongue,
slithers through your
yeah,
roof,
yeah.
or while you're a kid and you're peeing, a lady reach out at you. That's not a lemur.
Yeah, no, you notice a difference between a lemur and a lady.
Yeah.
At least I would hope so.
So then, lastly, we have that the Aswang is. It basically came from propaganda from the Spanish. They were trying to make traditional beliefs evil in order to help with conversion to Catholicism. Because Philippines is out there doing their own thing, and then the Spaniards came by. Spaniards said,
How dare
"Hey,
they? Yes.
hey, this is pretty nice around here. We're gonna stick around." The problem is, you guys got to become Catholic, and they're like, "What?" And they're like, "Yeah, you got to." And they're like, "What? We live here." And they're like, "Yeah,
You
well,
see,
we do
'cause
too now."
nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, nobody ever expects the Spanish Inquisition. So, in the Philippines, they traditionally went to female spiritual leaders called Babalan for healing and medicine and all sorts of stuff like that. Well, these Babalan were also leading attacks against the Catholic authorities. So, of course, the Spanish started to say that they were evil and that they
Ah,
performed magic and were evil. And then they said that
there are witches and whatnot.
yeah, they're witches and all that. But then the Spanish said that they were Aswang, which was already kind of a legend in the area. So then the natives started to fear these women and avoid them. Therefore, kind of just increasing, like taking like a little bit of Aswang lore that was already there and just making it like
Yeah,
a
and really expanding it.
much bigger thing. Because there's this old Filipino legend where there's like a good god, forgot what his name is, and then there's this like bad guy, and they live on opposite sides of this valley, like one in each mountain.
Okay.
Good God has fire. Aswang, the bad guy, doesn't have fire. He does a lot of bad stuff. He comes over to Good God and is like, "Hey, the people really don't like me." And he's like, "If you give me some of your fire and I can give it to them, then they'll really like me." And he's like, "They probably just hate you because you're doing bad stuff all the time." And he's like, "Yeah, no, but I want your fire." So then Aswang
Yeah.
makes himself invisible, supposedly steals the fire, and then
Got they.
can't control it, accidentally lights like the whole world on fire, and like makes volcanoes
Wipes out
erupt.
the dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah, makes volcanoes erupt and all this stuff. So now that just like every bad evil thing, they're like friggin'
Aswang.
Aswang.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, okay, so for that third explanation for me, like the Aswang legend was already around whenever that became a thing. So like that explains like why it continued to spread, but I don't know if I would count it as like a proper
yeah,
explanation because that's just like more building off of an already existing legend.
yeah. I'm
Yeah.
pretty unsure about this one because I don't believe the wildlife things. I don't think
I
with
think
I don't think
that
the
might be in the second camp.
yeah I'd say
Just like a general catch-all explanation.
yeah, and where it's like split off into categories, it's almost they have some other creatures within Filipino lore, but
Yeah.
like as far as it goes, basically 80% of your bad spirits can be called
Mhm.
Aswang. It's kind of just like a catch-all, you know.
That's
Throw
what it seems like to
vampires
me.
in
Yeah.
there, throw ghouls in there. It's mainly
And
things that like to eat, you know.
well, and whenever I was talking to my friend about it, he was saying that his grandmother told him about it, and his grandmother said it was essentially like the American boogeyman, where it was like just kind of like a catch-all generic monster thing to try and tell kids like, hey, make sure you behave, otherwise the Oswong's gonna wong you or whatever.
Yeah, I was reading through a bunch of the stories, and there'd be like one where I'd get to it because somebody commented saying this sounds like an Aswang, and I like the title doesn't have Aswang or anything, but it's written in the Philippines. It's like this
Yeah,
website you can like it has the user, it has where they're from and everything. And
yeah,
I'd be reading the story, I'd be like, this has nothing to do with an Aswang. Like this fits with nothing else. But then there's like a bunch of people in the comments being like, for sure an Aswang, and I'm like, what? This has nothing to do with any of
okay.
the pre done lore. Like on
Yeah,
all the other stories, this is completely different. So yeah, it probably is just a catch all for anything evil or
like
any
the Filipino
misfortune.
boogeyman essentially.
Yeah. Or like I said, like blaming things like grave robbing. They're like what an
Frickin' Oswong.
it's like what an inhumane thing to be hanging around a cemetery and as soon as somebody's buried, go and dig up the body. It's
Yeah,
almost just as easy to be like, oh, there's ghouls that hang out in the tree and come down and get them, you know,
yeah,
because it's almost easier to explain that rather than like, you know, talk to people about why somebody would be such a jerk to go and exhume a body just to like get any jewelry or clothes or for
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
reason, you know. Anyway,
Yeah, I think that's where I would stake my claim or my flag, whatever you want to call it.
yeah, I read a lot of accounts and
That's the ten-tide pitch.
for the most part it seems very boogeyman esque, but there's some stories where I'm like, all right, if this is true, like
It's
this
quite
is
crazy.
real weird, man. It's real weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, that'll pretty much do it for us with the Oswong. We're gonna be having a little Halloween special next week. Zach, what do you
Yep.
got for us?
Last week is yeah like the finale of our Spooktober, and we're covering the shadow people, which I know isn't technically like a cryptid thing or like a, but it's very much a legend. It pops up all over and like literally everywhere, like, every type of like country folklore. Some they almost always have some form of shadow folk, shadow person, hat man, if you will, all those different creatures, and yeah, so we're just gonna be doing a deep dive into those different versions of the shadow people and whatnot. It's freaking scary. If I've been totally honest. My eyes water danger every time I'm reading about them.
Yeah, I was Nicole was
Nothing
painting and
gets me like the
I
shadow
was
people.
doing this. I was like researching. She's like, you probably shouldn't be looking that up. Like that's probably not very good. Like I don't know. That's
Juju or
yeah,
whatnot.
that's bad juju. And I was like, I got off lucky. She's
Yeah,
like, what
no.
do you mean? I was like, I made Zach do the shadow people. I was like, I don't want to touch that.
Yeah. But just to do like a quick little like what is a shadow people? It's essentially just like various spirits or like I don't want to say creatures because it's not a creature, but it's like almost like an in between demonic presence creature spirit. Like I don't know, like a
It,
humanoid.
it's exactly what it's called. It's a
Yeah,
shadow
the shadow
person,
of a person, but not a person, just a shadow.
and it can
and
move and do stuff. And
yeah, and like it's supposed to cause people to be like just absolutely overcome with fear and whatnot, and um, yeah, scary stuff.
yeah,
We'll cover it in depth next week.
don't
Don't
worry.
know how to describe it more than that, really.
All right, yeah, we're definitely gonna both get very scared. I can already feel the chills standing up. I mean,
Yeah, me too,
that goes
dude.
right along with the sleep paralysis thing for me. It's like sleep paralysis and shadow people are right there at the same level.
Yeah, yeah,
All right, well, hope you guys had fun with the Oswong. If you want to hear more stories, you can search for that. I think it's called like Your Ghost Stories or something like that.
yeah. I need to check that
And
out.
then you
Sounds
can
pretty
go
cool.
on to their search bar and literally just type in Oswong and just get like page after page after page of Oswong stories. Supposedly all true, and I don't think on there they're really making them up. It's just it's not
Sharing their own
yeah.
stories.
It's just like a website for putting any ghost stories, any freaky stuff that's happened to you, just to share it with other people. So I
Yeah.
don't think most people on there are lying. Most of the time, people get on there, like, if you start looking at like No Sleep or something, like people have like multiple stories that they write like every week. This one, it's like
Yeah.
people will do like this, and they'll do like update and respond to comments, and then they're done. Like they won't post on it anymore.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you guys want to get in touch with us, be sure to like and share the video, comment, send us an email with cryptids or folklore that you want us to get into.
Yeah.
We for sure will. If you have any spooky encounters of your own, then get in contact with us because we'll have you on the show. After the Shadow People, we're having on our first guest, and it's going to be pretty cool. Yeah. But anyway, that's all from us. Zach, do you have anything else to say?
Now, just make sure to follow us at Legends and Loggers on social media, or if you want to reach out to us, you can email us, legends@wohlstein.media. It's in our description as well. I know it's a bit of a hassle to spell.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it from us. Stay wild out there.
Yeah, and live life legendary.